Hi, and welcome to the Frog Pond School of Design, where we enjoy talking about things that hopefully appeal to the architect in all of us. Today I want to talk about a relatively recent architect named Robert Venturi. He practiced throughout the last half of the 20th century, which makes it sound like a long time ago, but it really wasn't, especially by architectural standards. But what was he known for? He rebelled against modernism, and was actually credited with launching postmodernism, even though he denied ever being a postmodernist. But so what it was that he was rebelling against? Probably the most recognizable piece of architecture would be the ubiquitous glass box. It could also be rendered in concrete, in which case it was Brutalism, whereas the glass box was known as the international style. And both of these actually grew out of the Bauhaus from back in the 30s. Mies van der Rohe had said, "Less is more," in his attempt to strip buildings of ornament and anything interesting from some people's points of view. What Venturi said in response to "less is more" is "less is a bore." So there you kind of have where he was going. And what was his response? Well, he some of the things he did were kind of a cartoonish version of historical motifs. He was a strong believer in reintroducing historical reference to architecture. So when I speak of the cartoon version, this is a children's museum, and actually the cartoon motif works out pretty well there. But those are clearly historical elements: the pediment, the frieze, the columns. You can actually see over here the columns are replaced with cutouts of people holding up that loggia over there. So that was one of the things that he did. Here is a synagogue, which also has a lot of historical motif. But here you notice those columns aren't round; they're square. But they're decorated to represent capitals and bases and that sort of thing. So then he moved on to, and this is a real interesting one. These columns are nothing more than flat cutouts stuck on there to represent columns. There are 4 columns because there's one over here, but only 3 under the portico, which means there's one on center, which if you've seen very many of my postings, you know that kind of bugs me, but not here because of what he's trying to do. The arch is a Romanesque sort of thing. The terme window is Roman. So he's got a lot going on here, but it's kind of all, like I say, cartoonish. And later on, this could be done in more realistic terms as well. So it wasn't that everything he did was cartoonish. So, but what was he really doing here? In my mind, he was having fun. And I've always said about architecture, if it's not fun, why the heck are we doing it? But he was showing us we didn't have to be prisoners to the stark rules of the Bauhaus and everything that came after that. So what was the long-term effect? Well, there aren't a lot of people around doing the kind of stuff he did, particularly the cartoon things, but at least you look at it and you can, which is kind of fun. What really has come of it is a respect for not necessarily the historical motifs, but historical principles behind buildings, the proportions, just the layout and how those components are used. So there's a general loosening. We're not locked into one set of rules for architecture today. and a lot of that is credited to Venturi. He's had a tremendous impact on architecture, since the maybe 1970s or 80s or something like that. So, a guy to really be respected. Thanks for joining us today at the Frog Pond School of Design. I look forward to seeing you hanging around the pond again real soon.